Hey y'all, this is Allison hanging out in my space to craft, and look, I have some pretty scraps left over from the last page that I did, and I think I'm gonna make a quick card. I even have some embroidery thread that I used on that, and I'm going to really just keep it to what I have on my desk. That pinky red paper's not quite big enough, but I'm going to live with it. And I'm going to preserve the bigger part of this paper and just use that small scrap. I had loaned this stamp set out to a friend. It's a faith one called God Says from Meme Made It. So I'm going to use a sentiment from that because I was unpacking it from the little container that she sent it back in. So I was thinking about using that peachy one, but I decided not to because it's even smaller than the other one. And y'all, this is not an exact A2 cut size, but I'm going to make it work. I was thinking about using that stripe, but I'm just cutting it as large as I can. And that's the idea behind using scraps on your cards, is just kind of make it work and don't worry about it. So I'm just playing with the papers to see what I think might work. And I'm not unhappy with that. And then I have this other one, which I didn't use this side on the other page, so it's a real different look, but I like the blue with just those two papers on there. I like the blue stripes. And I don't end up liking the additional stripes from this border strip. So then I'm like, okay, would I like this one better? No. So this is how I just play with my papers. I'm not following a sketch. I'm just sort of letting the papers talk to me. I will fussy cut, I think, a butterfly out of the backside of that paper. And I decide that this sentiment that I had pulled is too long. I don't really like the look of it. So I'm going to see, do I like it better a different way? No, not really. So I'm going to go back to the way I had it. And I'm going to change out sentiments. So I'm going to switch to one that says, "You are a child of God." And this is a card that I will take and give as part of the gift for our CarePoint staff in Uganda. And they will likely be writing these cards for some of our kids that are maybe passing their tests or things like that. So I'm just going to stamp this. And this card did not take me long, and I was going to leave the video full length. It was, I don't know, 20 minutes, everything start to finish. But there was no audio for some reason on the first video. I have no idea why, the first section of it. So I was not able to do that. And I'm using VersaFine Clair black ink for the stamping. When I'm just doing a simple stamp like this, this is my favorite, especially for sentiments and stuff. It comes out really nice and crisp, and usually in one press. So I really like the VersaFine Clair. And, you know, once you get invested in a couple of brands of inks, I have Distress Oxides and these VersaFine Clair, a few archival, Distress Archivals. It's hard to switch because there's a big investment, and then you want all the same brand usually when you're messing with stuff. I also have some Stampin' Up! Ink pads. Here I decide I was going to leave it longer, and I decide I'm going to keep it shorter, and I'm going to keep everything sort of within the borders of that reddish paper. Then I'm going to go off and fussy cut this and a butterfly, and I'll be back. And here I am. So I sort of close fussy cut it because I didn't want it to cover all of that blue stripe. I still wanted blue stripe to show. And the butterfly that I cut is out of a smaller version of that same paper. So it's kind of a nice combination. When I do butterflies, I like to put small foam under the tips of the wings and then put the body down, and then it gives it dimension on the page. And I popped up this, I added the same dimensional foam on here, and then I realized what I really would have liked to have done is, had I thought ahead, is wrap this string around this piece, but I used glue, so that's not happening now. So I am going to just tie a bow instead. I did think about running it across, you know, through the card at the top, but decided against that. I'm just going to add a bow on here. And I'm going to use, instead of a glue dot, which I usually use, the tie knot is so tiny, I'm just going to use a dot of this glue. I'll have to wait for it to dry, just a few seconds, not long. But then it won't show or be sticky in a stack, which was my worry with the other. So I have these Altenew, I think they're poppy colored. It's a perfect match for that pink paper. So I'm going to use several of the tiny ones and make a little butterfly trail. And then add one more to the center of that bow. And I will just add a tiny bit more glue under it just to make sure it sticks. And that's it, you guys. That is a card. I'm glad I broke into these Altenew enamel dots finally. I love the color. A little bit of trash. And I used up some scraps. Used my stamps, and I have a card to take to Uganda. Thanks a lot, you guys. Please give this video a thumbs up.